So I scrolling on Twitter and I see Lauren Chen has returned. Last time I encountered Lauren Chen was about, what was it, a year ago or so? She was talking. I don't know what kind of training arc Miss Chen went on in her hiatus, and I don't know what this time skip was. But she comes back to Twitter after a year or so. She makes a post about what happened. Has a GoFundMe. I personally don't care because I'm just confused as to why she needs a GoFundMe when she has a husband. Don't know. I'm just curious on that one. Yuck. I don't know. So she comes back and she starts doing, to be quite frank, what is a race bait, a race baiting grift. I've noticed this about a lot of conservatives recently. A lot of them are absolutely seeing where their bread is butter. They are sniffing. And they're like, oh, we can put down black people, so let's do that. Let's put down black people, and it's going to get a bunch of views. You know, anytime I mount even a smidge of a defense or the recognition of the humanity of black males who happen to be males, of which I have defended on my channel for very many years, evidently there's something strange or peculiar about that. I don't understand how that's strange or peculiar, as I have treated all men of all regards, as I have said for many years, white, black, Spanish, green. I've regarded them as, I don't know, it's just weird how niggas get upset with me for defending the humanity of black people, and particularly black men, when I've defended the humanity of men for very many years. I don't understand it. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Or at least it wouldn't make a lot of sense to me until I start recognizing that this is just kind of easy. And this is a great example of things being easy for easy engagement. There's a clip of this child yelling, and there's actually a caption, and then Lauren Chen retweets it, right? And so here's what the caption reads, right? Let's get to it. It's a clip from Clown World, and it says, "The problem isn't the child, it's the parents who never said no." Now, to be quite honest with you, there's something very strange about this, and I'm not entirely sure if that caption matches the context of what has occurred here. And we're going to watch the video, of course, because it'd be silly for me to talk about something that you guys didn't see anyway. But just, to frame you, it's just to walk you through how I walked through this, right? Lauren Chen retweets this and she says, "The girl's father is probably absent, and her mother is likely where she learned this behavior from. Sad." Now, there's something very, very peculiar about this, and I wanted to analyze this in numerous different ways, because the truth of the matter is, I actually think that both of these people are right, but it's an interesting case of having the correct conclusion for the wrong reasons. And it's entirely possible that you can be absolutely right about something, but be right for every wrong. I'm sorry for that. That's my bad. So we're going to go through this video together, right? First, we're going to play through it just one good time so y'all understand what's occurring. And then we'll go back to different pieces of it in this analysis. All with us remembering that this is a clip on the internet and we have no more fucking context than just this 1 minute and 30-second video clip. Which means even myself, all of us, are really stupid. Watching clips on the internet and always trying to come to these massive societal understandings of things when we have no understanding but our whole collective of biases and narratives we're trying to portray. Look, man, I'm just humble enough to be honest. Anyway, let's roll the clip.
The CV gave the description of a female black with long braids with the white baseball cap, white shirt, and
What classes did I steal from Montclair?
Mommy, I know who it was.
What classes did I steal? Thank you.
Stop recording it now! You should not be recording it without our permission.
For my safety. Thank you.
My aunt stole glasses. It wasn't her. You should have a
listen.
Bro, my mother get arrested, bro. I swear to God, bro. I'm gonna punch somebody in the face, bro. Leave me alone. Go somewhere.
So y'all let her walk off?
No, they got some stuff.
Yeah, but time out. What do I got to do right now? It don't take that long for some glasses, my. It don't.
Oh my God, bro.
I didn't take shit.
Oh my God, bro. I'm finna splat.
Where's the glasses at?
Y'all got me messed up in my soul, bro.
Dude, calm down.
Where the fuck are the glasses at?
Try to figure it out.
Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down.
But just because you were with him,
Yeah, that's my baby. I didn't steal shit, yo. That's crazy, yo.
Y'all really got my mother in handcuffs right now. What did she do? She didn't do nothing. Which one? Me or her? Who? Can I get her phone? Can I get her phone? I love you, Mom.
or are you just being a jerk?
Can I get it?
Okay, calm down. I didn't steal. You know I didn't steal nothing. Chill out. You all see me at the precinct.
Listen. Mommy's asking you to calm down. Please calm down.
I just want to. Oh, please. Can I please?
You can kiss mom. Go ahead.
So, as we have watched the video, and I'm going to be tasked with watching it several times again and again, but as we watched it, our first caption, this is what happens when you don't tell a child no, doesn't really make a lot of sense. The child is not acting spoiled in any regard of which they're being denied something. What's occurring is that the child, in the most particular and strangest fashion, is defending their mother's honor. That in and of itself is probably the strongest and I would say greatest indication, beyond the fact that the child is aggravated, yelling, and has a large display of aggression, that she does not have a father. Now, why is that? One thing that's very important about fathers that people don't recognize is that the presence of a father in and of itself implies protection, which is to say if you have a good father. Now, again, there might be a feminist who comes along and talks about a step parent and how likely it is for them to abuse, and okay, and someone might come along and say that there are neglectful fathers, and I say, okay, thank you. We're looking at things from the worst possible situation instead of looking at something or how it's supposed to operate in principle. So, with understanding that there are craptastic fathers, let's just take a beat and recognize that having a good father, which is the hope and the benchmark, at the very least a father that's present and attentive and, well, gives a damn, is what we're going to be referring to. As such, having a father like that makes an individual, child, and mother by extension, feel protected. Insofar as the child themselves never really feels a need to put themselves in between the mother and other dangers. This only occurs if there's nothing there to protect the mother from other dangers. This is a phenomenon that happens with a lot of black young males. Now, again, this is a phenomenon people see. It's easier to see here, but this actually occurs everywhere. It's just easier to see with black people because black people are a little bit more upfront and bombastic with their behavior. Like that, if there's any one thing about black culture that's particular, it's that. But the concept of even, say, for example, the son husband, right? If the order of my words are correct, where a woman will essentially treat her son as if he is her stand-in husband, as such give him more responsibilities and rely on him more in ways that are even sometimes emotionally even more intimate or more responsibility or have a tighter hold of him in a relationship than otherwise should be the case. As such makes it more difficult for him to have a wife, or makes it more difficult for him to move on and have, you know, even just a girlfriend, let alone a wife, and have his own family. Why is that? Again, because there's no father there. There's no male there to protect or defend the woman. Now, in this situation here again, what we're seeing here, again, is not a spoiled child at all. It's a child that feels like they need to comfort and protect their mother. There's something very strange here, right? Not just in the, okay, what I just said is strange, but what's strange is kind of how people come to the conclusion that the bad parenting here is what made the child this way, as far as the child is reflecting the behavior of the mother. Well, no, that's not the case at all, which is why it's a little bizarre to me that that we get our original caption, and it's also kind of bizarre to me that Lauren Chen says that she probably, the child, she in this pronoun game, learned it from her mother. Her mother is not behaving in this manner in the current situation we're watching. Now, granted, we could extrapolate that her mother has acted this way at some point in time in front of her. Sure, but it could have just as easily been anyone the fuck else. I mean, to be quite honest with you, the child is no one human is influenced solely by their parents, right? For example, me, I love Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee has also influenced me, not just my father. You know who else who has influenced me? Spider-Man. Not just my father. As much as my father has influenced me, I have been influenced by other sources and other people as well. Other church members also have influenced me too. One of the reasons why I talk about integrity so goddamn much is because of the different lessons I learned in church very, very many years ago that has stuck with me for literal years. So we humans are not influenced solely just by one parent or even just the absence of one parent, but by multiple different sources. How this child came to behaving like this, I don't really know entirely, but it is strange to suggest that she became this way because she was watching her mother, who is not acting that way, even though she's the main focus of the police questioning. Very strange that people can watch literally in real time the woman not display the behaviors that the child is and then believe that the child got it from her. In fact, it's interesting. It really seems that the mother is a little bit more, I'm not going to say docile, but a little bit more submissive. And again, it becomes very strange, especially at the end, when you see the child starts trying to comfort their mother. If there's any indication there that we can get, again, in a 1 minute and 23 second video, which, to be fair, even me being in my armchair, being a psychologist, is kind of shorthand for a full analysis, it does really more than anything appear that the mother is using the child as more as emotional, as a way to help her emotionally regulate, or at least the child has learned to protect their mother because their mother is oftentimes emotionally regulated. Does this mean that their mother is having displays of aggression and self-defense in this particular manner? Perhaps she has acted that way. It's just strange that if she has acted that way, she isn't currently acting this way. The child is acting this way. Now, again, what becomes far more interesting to me still comes back down to the fact that the child is doing as much as they can, considering that they're, I'm going to be honest with you, probably between the ages of 6 to 8. The child is very small, but they're also very articulate. So it might indicate that they're very intelligent for being a 6 to 7 year old. But I don't really know, but I can't imagine the child is like 5. So the child has to be somewhere in between that age range, or is just, honestly, the child would have to be very articulate and intelligent. But the problem is that the child is not wise. And what do I mean by that? When I say wisdom, I guess to me, is knowledge applied correctly, right? Knowledge is what you know, things that are true of the world, things that you can rely on. And even if they aren't true, it's facts or it's something relating to information. For example, a fact is, I'm not going to use that one. I thought of one off the top of my head. I'm not going to use it. Instead, I'm going to use this one. A fact is Aragon meets Saphira in the original book in Aragon, right? That's a fact. That's a proven statement. That happens in the book. It's not a true thing that has occurred in reality because that happened in a fictional book, right? So those are things that are that's just knowledge, right? It's just what you know to be true. It isn't necessarily the thing that you know is a physical thing. Those are abstractions. Now again, this seems like I'm all going off the beaten path, but I'm not. The point that I'm making is that wisdom is taking that information and applying it correctly to the situation that you find yourself in, which is to say that an aggressive display of protection as a fact is how animals typically dissuade other animals from engaging on them, right? This also is found as a form of posturing, or at least the word to be used here is posturing, which is to say it is a display of defensive aggression from one animal to another. That is what the child is doing currently. The child is trying to posture to the police officers. Of course, this is what I mean when I say there's a lack of wisdom. Knowledge applied correctly would mean that you cannot posture to a police officer. Why? Because they have the legal authority to kill you. Okay, all right, fine. That's the most extreme situation. I mean, might get fired from it, or they might not get fired from it. They do have the legal authority to handcuff you and detain you and to lock you up and put you in a cage. And you can miss out on your whole day, spend $100 on bail. The point that I'm making is that the child may have the intelligence to articulate themselves, and they might even have the knowledge that posturing will disengage other people from attacking you or talking to you or messing with you, but they don't have the wisdom to apply that to a situation with police officers. The truth of the matter is, the wisdom when interacting with police officers is to either shut the fuck up or just listen to them. That's it. The truth of the matter is, you don't need any aggressive display against someone that can put you in a cage legally and literally. They will fight and they will detain you. They will call other people to come fight and detain you. On worst case scenario, they'll pull out a gun and they'll shoot you. This is where the knowledge must be applied correctly. This is when knowledge becomes wisdom. You cannot defensively posture to a police officer. They don't give a damn. They don't care. They want you to either comply or they'll lock you up. And worst case scenario, they'll kill you. Now, a child doesn't know that. A child can't know that. And this is where everything all comes full circle. This is where we all understand why fathers are important. Fathers represent a chain of command or a chain of authority, which is to say our superior size and strength is an implication. It's an implication that we can inflict danger, but it's also implication that we can defend from danger. I say males, I'm not a father, but as if I were a father, that would still be the implication. I apologize for misspeaking there. But the fact remains that that's the implication that is, interestingly enough, subconsciously communicated to a child. A child feels protected by their father's presence because he is the bigger adult that is extremely strong and helpful and does, quite often, as much as a mother does as well, protects the child, right? As such, the child understands a chain of command, a hierarchy, and from the extension of that, when the child goes out into polite society, they recognize authority through their parents, which is to say that if they don't want to get in trouble with this adult, a la a teacher or a principal or even some grocery store clerk, they don't want to get in trouble there because of the authority that comes back home or the punishment that comes back home with their father, with that chain of command, right? The authority of the father is extended to other authority members in society. When you respect the chain of command at home of your father, you imply that if that goes back to him and you have to come back home to him, you're going to get in trouble. This is an extremely important psychological thing that the presence of a father provides. It provides something I like to call a boundary, a cap, right? It's a point that you can't cross, you can't go beyond. What happens if you never learn there's a cap? The video that you're watching. Well, not this video, the video I played before. That's what happens. And there's a lot of black people, black men and women, who lack that chain of command and lack that chain of authority and lack that understanding, and they understand what posturing is, which is to say you can posture to other black people as a defensive mechanism against them from trying to press you, because that's just the reality of niggas, unfortunately. Niggas love to press other niggas and try to accost them and either take their stuff or get them to obey them in a way. If we speak more formally, this is what is occurring in these situations. As such, a child learns that they must posture in order, or, you know, I say a child, yeah, children, yeah, as case in point, the child's doing that. They learn that they have to posture in a defensive manner to get people to leave them alone. The only problem is they don't have the wisdom that chain of command of the father, that chain of command that exists of the mother, that chain of command that exists of the parents that are teaching them to be respectful, also extends to other authority figures like police officers and even doctors and teachers, of course. When you see a child that has a behavioral problem, this is the core, this is the mechanism of which this occurs. They don't understand that there's a cap. They don't understand that there's a point of no return. They don't understand that there's a point where you have to stop and be respectful. Because the father's physicality, quite literally his presence there, indicates that in the home, you can't go past this point. If you do, I'm going to punish you. If you do, you're going to get disciplined in some way, shape, or form. If you do, something bad is going to happen. Consequences, right? And of course, many people think of this in a corporal way, and certainly it can occur that way. That's just definitely the case. It's not wrong to think of that. But what's more important, again, is the presence and the implication. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you spank the child or something like that, but it does have to be the case that implication has to trigger and teach the child there's a point of no return, and you have to respect that. That, to me, are the greater indications that the child here does not have a father. So in conclusion of this point, what we have is a child that lacks wisdom. And they're children, so of course they do. But they lack the wisdom that posturing against police officers, or there's a lack of respecting authority that is extended from your family or extended from your father, is not going to get you anything. The child is wasting their time. And of course, again, they don't know that because they're a child, but the child's wasting their time. You cannot posture to police officers, much in the same way you can't posture to your father. Why? Your father's bigger than you. Your father's stronger than you. Your father knows more than you. Your father can smack you right the hell down, right? Just that change, just that authority as a child. When you grow up and you learn that reality, it extends to other people. When that's absent, again, you get these strange displays here, right? But what you also have is a mother who, it would appear to some degree, and again, we should be humble. We don't know these motherfuckers. It would appear to some degree the child has recognized that they need to comfort their mother. And it is strange because a father's presence, typically a male is the one that comforts the woman in a form of protection. If he's not there, there's no one else there to do so. And so there are many such cases of children who do indeed end up taking care of their mother. In fact, it's actually very fascinating. I'm thinking of this one woman we weren't intimate, but we talked to each other more romantically in such regard. I was thinking of her and how that was her life cycle, essentially, how she was kind of forced to grow up and be more mature and actually work to emotionally regulate her mother. And it was a very strange existence, so to speak. But I mean, I guess do that analysis more some other time. That aspect there too, the defense that the child is having for their mother. The child is trying to put themselves in between their mother and the police officers, right? What's actually happening, to me, again, we don't really have the full information. Truth of the matter is, the child could have been the one who stole said glasses. Truth of the matter is, the woman could have stole the glasses. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be the case. I mean, the woman technically doesn't match the description, and the child says that they know, and the child accosts blame to someone else. Is that stuff all true? I don't know. That is just what we saw in the video. But as far as this being a reflection of fatherlessness, the important points ultimately really is that you have a child who is putting themselves in front of their mother and is trying to protect their mother. That is not something that should ever happen. But it happens because there's no fault, there's no defense of the mother. The child identifies that the mother is weak to some regard, to some degree. And it's unfortunate because it really reflects quite the intelligence and the love and kindness children can have, and how it can be corrupted and how it can be misused by women who, unfortunately, just to be quite frank, put their children in such awful situations as to not have a father in their life, of which to not have someone that's actually going to guide and protect the child and grant them wisdom. Again, we can conclude further, at least I can, that the lack of wisdom, that posturing, is a tool that is used within context, which is to say, you can posture to other civilians, you can posture to other children, you can display aggression to other children. You cannot display that to any military force. You cannot display that to a force of authority that is greater than your own. You cannot posture to a police officer. Police officers will never say, well, okay, I'll back that. No, they won't. They're going to lock you up. They're going to cage you. Or, worst case scenario, they will kill you. Sorry. Worst case, you die. And that denotes a lack of wisdom and a lack of understanding that there is, again, a point of no return or a cap in your relationships to people. Of such you learn with the physicality itself and the discipline of itself of the male that is around in your life. Why did I make this video? Granted, I am a little sick and tired of people not understanding what makes men important. And people look at males only for our economic capacity, only for our ability to do things, right? Our ability as tools. This is how a lot of women relate to us. The point of this video and this analysis is to do a couple of things, but one of the most important thing is to have a video where someone is at least starting the conversation or discussion that we as men are extremely important in the development, in the cohesiveness of how people, operate in society, which is to say how children grow up and are protected and well-adjusted human beings. Because a mother that is emotionally weak, there are words for this I just can't quite articulate, but a mother that isn't actually insulating and protecting her child, unfortunately, sets them up for failure on so many different regards. Because the mother themselves lacks the physical dominance, it lacks the physical capability to be that instinctual cat. I'm sorry, no offense, but women, you small, soft creatures. You niggas aren't very threatening. You're not threatening, right? You know, and that threat implication is still important in the development of a healthy human being. You have to learn that there are limits and limitations to the things you can do. Men are important psychologically in that one regard. And I think that more videos kind of speaking to this is important instead of people just popping off bullshit on Twitter. I find it very annoying that they might be right that this child is lacking a father, but without the reason or rationale behind why men are so important, you're left with something that's ultimately hollow. And that's just being mad at niggas on the internet. So look, guys, with that being said, I certainly hope you guys got something out of today's video. And if you did, I don't know, man, go click the like button. I mean, the like button. You go ahead and click the subscribe button too, right? Comment in the comments below, and as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.